Okay guys, we're here now today with the Matchbox British 8th Army in a 1/76 scale. Lovely artwork there by Doug Post as usual. It's a really nice piece, very dramatic. Usual story, a bunch of figures holding high ground. I suppose it's a very good way of depicting the contents of the box. Not sure I'd have a guy playing bagpipes if I'm trying to defend high ground under shell fire and whatever else is going on there. But as you can see, you have in the far right, you have a lad throwing a grenade, you have a guy prone with a Bren gun, a couple of guys advancing, some poor guy getting hit, Vickers machine gun, a guy lying down, looking over a rock, bagpiper of course, and then two Bren guns, one held at waist height and the other in a kneeling position. Very nice artwork as usual, very indicative of the period when comic books and all that kind of thing had this type of artwork. It's very classic sort of the time period. As usual with the box, figures displayed on the side there as a painting guide and as a guide to what's contained within the box itself. Usual Matchbox fare there really. End of the box here again, you'll have Montgomery himself, you'll have the figure with the Bren gun and the lad with the Lee Enfield rifle. On the side here you have figures, Crusader weapons, Vickers machine gun, Bren guns, things like that, a few of the other figures. Kind of grenade there with his Tam O'Shanter hat on and his Lee Enfield rifle. Interestingly enough, the Lee Enfield rifle depicted here seems to be the number 4, whereas most period footage and photographs I've seen of the 8th Army, they seem to be equipped with the SMLE, I think it's number 1 Mark III or Mark III Star. Which is the slightly more snub-nosed version, which is actually displayed here on the front with the two guys advancing. So I don't know what the story was there. Some of the figures seem to have the number 4. Maybe there was a time where they both overlapped in the desert period. Having said that, the figures themselves could be easily used for any period really. They could be used for maybe early war kind of Mediterranean period, or the Middle East, fall of Hong Kong, that type of thing. They'd work out fine there if you paint them up, maybe one or two little conversions here and there, and you'd be set. So let's have a look at the figures themselves. Again, the usual disclaimer: I'm not the greatest figure painter in the world, lads. So please, have mercy. Let's have a look here. Crystal Cross. This is the main guys here. So, being 8th Army, they have the bagpiper. Almost every box of 8th Army ever had a bagpiper, and I think they are dead right, they should have, in fairness. I wasn't quite sure what the tartan for the 8th Army was, so I looked it up, and this was the closest I could find to match it. It was sort of an orange with yellow and green going through there. Now, some different regiments or battalions or something might have had different tartans, I'm not sure. But this was one that was as close to a representation as I could get of an actual tartan that was used in North Africa. The aforementioned Montgomery here, I've used this figure for various things, paratroopers and tank commanders and all sorts of stuff. Commando, just paint them up differently, very versatile. Second officer there, could be Auchinleck or somebody like that, I'm not sure. But just get this lad in focus. There we go. But Alexander or somebody. Nice little dramatic pose there as well with the binoculars and whatever he's doing with his hand, trying to usher somebody forward. At the back here we have the Bren gun. Let's move these lads out of the way here so we can see. The Bren gunner there in a prone position. Quite a classic Matchbox pose again as usual. You'll notice that the sand I used there, it's actually a Hornby sand. If I was doing it again, I would not use this sand. It's a little bit too big. The grains are a bit too large. Just use normal beach sand or something like that, or just texture it and paint it. Although I generally don't do that. I tend to use flocks and things of that nature. But I would not use this again if I was going to do it a second time, which I might in the future. But we'll see. So that's the prone Bren gunner. Speaking of Bren gunners, there's two guys here who are kind of Highlanders. I mean, obviously the Highland Division was involved. I've tried to replicate the flash on the arms there of some, again, I just googled stuff, so I mean, they're accurate, whether they're accurate to the Highland guys or not, I don't know, but it's just a splodge of paint to the right colours as far as I can figure out, just to make it look somewhat authentic. That's it. You know, Tam O'Shanter in sort of a sand colour. I always thought it would be black, but apparently it was mainly a kind of a sand colour for the desert camouflage. What else have we got along here? We've got the Vickers, of course, using the crawling guy as an assistant. You can see there how that sand really doesn't work. But again, I'll probably just texture paint that or something. It'll be fine. Vickers, two-piece again. The stand and the gun itself, and the operator. It fits in quite nicely. Just super glue them together. Off we go. Guy surrendering. There was a matching guy in the Africa Corps box as well. There we go. Again, this lad here, another Highlander with his 303 and a grenade. Nice pose, actually, very kind of a classic Matchbox pose, that particular one, I think. What do we have here? Some lad fending off some dastardly German, someone with the butt of his rifle. Again, nice pose. Probably one of the ones I like least, actually, out of the box. This being the one I like the very least. I always think the casualty figures are a bit of a waste of time. It's a pose wasted, if you ask me. And in fairness, the muzzle of the Thompson submachine gun there, out of 30 of these figures that I have in my spares box, only 2 had the muzzle fully formed, so a bit of a waste. Yeah, he looks like he's been getting hit. He looks like he's been in the face as well as poor sculptor. Box damage or something, I don't know. Guys advancing. I like the fact that they give 2 different patterns of fellas advancing. I think it just adds a bit of character to the box, to the table itself. This particular guy on the left turned up again, I believe, in the kit for the what is it, M3 Stuart, M5 Stuart, can't remember what it's called. The Stuart tank, or the honey tank, as some people refer to it as. Supposedly the British refer to it as a honey. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what it said in the box. Here we have the mortar, again standard Matchbox fare, very straightforward tubular mortar, and a crew. Strange thing about the crewman on the left there is he has his Thompson machine gun kind of slung awkwardly on his shoulder, or up towards his shoulder. It seems like a very unnatural position. Guy on the right seems to be natural enough though. And just a basic mortar position, simple, easy sculpts. Nice little piece again for wargaming. All you just need to do is have as a representation. It doesn't really have to be that accurate, but it's nice to have them somewhat accurate. So that's the guys there. No kneeling figure, unfortunately, with a rifle, which would have been nice. I would have thought, considering with the desert and all that, it would have been nice to have something of someone hiding behind rocks, firing from a kneeling position. Also, what else are we missing there? Anything? Nothing really. I think the sculptor kind of covered everything pretty well. All the weapons that would have been used. There's nothing really missing as far as I can tell. So it would have been nice to have a dedicated assistant for the Vickers, perhaps. But the guy crawling does a nice enough job. You can get something out of a spares box and put it in as an ammo box if you really wanted to on your little base or whatever. I didn't bother, not to be honest, but I do have some bits that I could put in there if I wanted to, since I'll be repairing that flak job. Up close doesn't look great. From a distance it actually looks fine. I mean, I'm back a foot from these guys and it looks okay, but up close on camera it doesn't look the best. But as I say, from a distance it's actually alright. I must give them a little spray with hairspray just to secure it on before I decide to paint it. As with the rest of the Matchbox range, Revell have gone to the bother of re-releasing them. This is the Revell box here. Again, I'm not a fan of the Revell artwork. It looks a bit, I don't know, amateurish to me. Guy in the background there with the bagpipes, for some strange reason, has a beard. I'm not sure if that would have been permitted. Maybe it was. I don't know. Possibly. In fairness, it does show the main figures there. You've got mortar crew, Bren, so on and so forth. You have an advancing figure which isn't actually represented within the figures itself at all. It looks more like one of the Airfix guys. And you have your Bren chap over in the corner, Vickers, and the advancing guy again, who kind of looks a bit more reminiscent of the Airfix figure, if you ask me. Anyway, that's the front cover. Again, the side, because it gives a date of release, which was, I can't see it there now, but it was in the early 2014, there we go. On the other side then you have some information as usual. Scottish regiments had served the British Army since the Union of Scotland, including the ranks of the 8th Army, etc, etc, etc. Great stuff. On the back you have colour guide. Now I always use the Humbrol colour guides because I try to make them as original as possible to the, or as accurate as possible to the original specifications, so I didn't use the Revell ones, or sometimes if I can't get the Humbrol colour I may use the Revell one, or alternatively I'll use the Revell equivalent. You can get conversion charts from one to the other, so I try to be as accurate to the original as possible, and then I give everything, as I've always said in the other videos, a coat of null and oil by Citadel, just for a little bit of shading and that, just to make it a bit more realistic. So that's the back of the Revell box there. The Sprue. Basic Sprue again, the old Matchbox Sprue. This is the Revell guys, of course. Again, you can just see the way it's laid out there. 3 of the crawling guys, 3 of these guys with the rifle butting someone to death, presumably. I always think that these kind of poses, 1 or 2 would have been enough, although it's handy to use these guys in conjunction with the Vickers machine gunners as assistants. 3 prone Bren gunners, yeah, maybe 2 would have been okay. There you go. There's your Montgomery. There's a surrendering German, actually. I mistakenly said earlier that the lad there came from this set. He's actually from the Africa Corps. I just included him in that for painting purposes. It's actually a German and vice versa. That's that Sprue, and then you have this one here. Again, you get 2 Vickers in this this set, and you actually get 2 mortars as well, which is excellent. Really, really good stuff out of Matchbox there and that. 2 of these casualty figures, another waste of 2 potential poses, I think myself. I really don't like casualty figures, especially having 2 of them in the same pose is ridiculous. 2 officers in exactly the same pose, again, a bit daft, I think myself. Probably unnecessary, really. I mean, to give 1 Montgomery and 2 of those guys. I mean, why would you have 2 of those guys? It just makes no sense. 3 Brens kneeling down, that's fine. 2 of each of those, yeah, it's alright. I mean, you could have had another kind of advancing pose, or even a kneeling down rifleman for the sake of these 2 guys here. 2 gunners for the Vickers, and there's the Vickers there. The stand is up here, and the mortar tubes there. I've actually taken out the stands for the mortars and utilised them on the figures themselves there. I had other stands, other mortars, just for convenience sake at the time. So that's those guys. So again, basically what you have is your figures. So you'll have just under 50 figures, 47, 48 figures in the box. There's the artwork there by Doug again. Lovely classic Matchbox artwork as usual. So we will have another Matchbox video for you coming up fairly soon. I still have to do the British Infantry and NATO Paratroopers and maybe 1 or 2 others. I will be doing a few conversions as well in the future. Some 8th Army will be converted, and some NATO Paratroopers will be converted to World War II paratroopers, and possibly I might do something with the Africa Corps to make them sort of more late war Normandy type thing there. But as all to be revealed when I get around to doing all that. I also have other figures to review for you, some Australian Airfix figures and a few kits and bits and pieces, so more to come in the coming weeks and months. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video on the Matchbox British 8th Army figures in 176. Signing off for now. All the best, guys. Talk to you again.